great moment to be able to ask some questions and talk to the filmmakers about this work in progress. And a really fantastic and rare opportunity to see the trailer before it comes out on the big screen. I think most important, like all the other work we've seen tonight, there's something incredibly important about seeing black, B.A.M.E, people of colour representation on the screen, a wide plethora of eclectic voices, narratives and storytelling. I think there's something very important about being able to see these images and these stories on a big screen, in each other's company. You know, unique and important moments, really. But I think, you know, without further ado, let's get into talking about B.A.M.E. Judah. So yeah, let's run it from the top. I think it's probably better for you guys to introduce yourselves briefly.
My name is Zahir Mammon and I'm the producer of B.A.M.E. Judah. Bashart Malik, director for the film.
I will go along with Lauren's suggestion. Introduce myself, as you should already know. I am Judah.
Yes, sir.
My name's Ras Judah. I'm a Bristol poet.
Cool. Yeah, so I think it's sort of important to stress that it's an exclusive trailer, it's a work in progress, and it's just a great opportunity to be able to catch these guys in their creative process and where they're at right now. So I think, first of all, my first question is for Bash, is for Bashart. What are the considerations you've brought to the table with your craft and experience so far as a filmmaker to tell Mr. Judah's story?
So the first thing I've thought about B.A.M.E. Judah, or the making of B.A.M.E. Judah, is to make something that's different to what's already been done. Already aware he'd given interviews to ITV, to the BBC, already been interviewed by lots of press, media, and still it wasn't the story he wanted to tell. It was always edited, always processed, always made to suit obviously the public and the taste of the public. So I suggested that we come away from interviews, talking heads, shots of daily life, which is great and suited to some subject matters. But I think for the B.A.M.E. Judah project, I wanted to really go above and beyond the call of duty, and ended up using enough kit to shoot, I can honestly say, the next Mission Impossible film. I'm not going to go into the cameras and what we had, but one thing to think about is that on this community level shoot, I had £500,000 worth of lenses to shoot Judah, and this sort of production value is not available to community level filmmaking, because it's not something that's instantly going to generate income for corporations to invest in grassroots storytelling. After reading the words expressed in the script, I thought, right, it needs to be stripped. It was 40 pages plus. It's impossible to shoot this in 3 days. But I kept reading it, and then I kept reading and going through all the bits, the kind of horrific bits of what he's been through, the ongoing kind of being targeted for a guy with grey dreadlocks who walks his dog daily, or used to walk his dog on a daily basis. So I thought, okay, let's recreate some of his life using cinema, which hasn't been done yet for Judah. And I wanted to use fact alongside the drama, which will come out in the film in its entirety. You can't see it at the moment. It looks very kind of artistic in how the trailer's been put together, but there is a lot of fact, and there is actually the backstory of who he is, that he's not just Ras Judah who's been tasered by a police officer. He is Ras Judah Dumby, who's a human being and has had life before being tasered. So it's really telling that story right from whenever he arrived in the UK to whatever, you know, I'm not going to go into what we've created, but it really is a showcase of who he is. But using...
So Bash, once again, how long was the shoot?
So we had a budget to shoot for 3 days using the kit we were using. And going through the script, I thought, we can't edit this down to 10 minutes. It has to be the whole film. Let's go ahead and shoot it. We penciled the dates, and I already said to Zahir, we're not going to strip the content. It can't be stripped. The shoot, this is bigger than a 3-day shoot. We have to shoot what we can now, so I've shot the beginning and the end of the script. As a whole, the main body of the script is yet to be shot.
Bash, I wanted to touch on the sound design, because it's quite clear from the trailer it's got quite a unique approach to the sonics of telling this particular story.
So the whole. So from the beginning, so using Lawrence and Judah's performances to camera, cut alongside thought-provoking cinematography, and editorially cut so it has a stylistic delivery and how you feel those cuts, and then right down to the organic sound design, which Zahir played the Discord on a piece of metal guitar, which we gave to Rick, and I gave Rick a brief of what it was and what we wanted, and then we had all the Foley. All the sounds are organically done to really give the viewer the experience of what it feels like to be, I guess, harassed and tasered by the police. And I feel it's kind of had the impact for me personally. I got to the end of the edit for the trailer. I had just sat there. I just became muted, thinking, "Oh my goodness." Okay, I'm really shocked watching it, and I've just been there cutting it for weeks. With all the shots, all the effort, the crew. We had a 20+ crew, a 3-day shoot, a grueling shoot. We shot all the locations we scheduled, but we still want to shoot more. You know, it has to. The film is bigger than just a short film. We're aiming for a 1 hour to maybe an hour and a half film now, is what I'm seeing.
Thanks, Bash. Zahir, where did the project begin?
Well, I mean, I'd echo a lot of what Bash said about that there was a real need for an independent piece of film with Ras Judah at the centre, for Ras Judah to really tell his story and really speak his truth, independently of the mainstream media, independent of any type of censorship or manipulation. So that was something which I think we all knew had to happen. And I think Ras Judah was ready and prepared for this type of film, but it seemed like he was just waiting for the right team to approach him, for the right opportunity to arise. And I think it's obviously what's happened to Ras Judah, we all know that comes as part of a long history, a long line over many decades, many thousands of this type of incident. And I think we all agree that the more that, you know, what better way to shine a light on these injustices than to use cutting art to really captivate people.
Storytelling.
Yeah, storytelling. And the more that independent artists can come together in this way to shine a light on injustices happening in their local area, in their city, then bring that to the global, to the national and to the global, the better. So that's what we're trying to do here. I mean, in terms of how the teams actually come together and how the projects evolve, that seems to have just fallen into place very naturally. It was kind of last September, I was working on a research project in partnership with my father, Saleh, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, but he's been a real source of strength and inspiration for this project and helping make it happen. He's a retired teacher, but he's campaigned for many, many years on social justice issues and racial inequality issues. And he was really encouraging me to start researching into issues affecting grassroots communities in Bristol. So I was looking into over-policing and stop search, issues such as that. And as Ras Judah's case was ongoing at the time and it kept coming up in the news because it wasn't being dealt with, it felt like a really natural thing to reach out to Ras Judah. So we started talking about options and we started talking about a simple interview. But as Bash said, it was when Bash came on board, it's when this bloomed into a cinematic